comparing ourselves to others. So if you look at, for example, when we were younger, or when I was younger, and I was growing up in the 1990s, our biggest issue back then was the Tuesday morning math test. That was literally our biggest stress. We didn't care about anything else. We didn't care about what clothes we would wear to school. We didn't care about, how much money any of us had. We didn't care about more or less anything. Nothing. We only cared about having fun, and we were only worried about exams and teachers and homework and whatever we were worried about. So that's just very different to nowadays. Nowadays, we have Instagram, we have TikTok, we have YouTube, we have whatever, and these channels and all of this information is feeding everyone all of these visions of success, of high net worth individuals, of private jets, of Lamborghinis or whatever. I know this is very old already. It's becoming very old and cringy to even mention. However, this stuff works in terms of it works on your brain. You're seeing it all the time. By default, your brain is already comparing. Even if you don't want to, you're like, well, that guy is in their 30s and they're already a decamillionaire. What am I doing with my life, right? So this comparing yourself to others tends to have very significant negative consequences, and we notice this in, for example, in the level of suicide or the level of depression that people are going through and so on and so forth. So I suggest a different perspective here, which has helped me a lot, and that is, if we go back to taking 100% responsibility to everything in our life, you realize that something you cannot control is whatever other people do. That is outside of your circle of control, and that's something else you can do research on. If you look within your circle of control, you see you can only control yourself and how you show up in the world. So if we look at comparisons, there are a few things you can do in your own life to make sure that you are on the right track. And the first of those is to always deliver on your promises. So if I commit to doing something with someone, that is a promise that I have made to someone. For example, I recently had an engagement with someone that they came to me and said, Robert, I really love everything you've done and so on and so forth. I would love to do this with you. I will do it pro bono. I just want time spent with you so I can pick your brain and get value. I said, okay, perfect. Let's do it. Interestingly enough, and I told him, okay, this is the homework you need to do. Interestingly enough, I told them that be careful that once you make this commitment today, you commit to doing what we agreed to today. Are you committing to doing this? And they said, yes, Robert, I am. Okay, perfect. This was, I think, on a Thursday. The next Monday, they sent me an email with a different idea, which I said, no, I don't agree with this. What I think is we should stick to the original agreement. Whatever our original agreement is, let's stick to that. And then we started going on and on, brainstorming ideas. I said we could do this. He said we could also do this and so on. And we just brainstormed visions of things that we could do. I said, okay, all of these things are cool, but let's stick to the original agreement. Let's stick to the original promise. And they kept going back and forth around how I'm changing the perspective. I'm changing the quantity of work involved. I'm changing what needs to happen. I'm like, no, I'm saying, here's the recording. Here's the transcript. I've taken the liberty because we have like an automated tool, and I used AI to basically get the transcript and then get, the results from the transcript, like who said what. And I sent everything to that guy. It's like, this is the actual agreement. So either you have two options. Either you stick to the original agreement or you let me know I don't want to do that. Long story short, they basically didn't accept that they don't want to stick to the original agreement. And so they didn't do that. This makes me want to never work with that person again. That doesn't mean that I can't be friends with them. That doesn't mean that I can't, do anything else in life with them, meet up, go for a beer, whatever. However, I am much less likely to ever work with them again because they do not keep their promises. They have proven that they do not keep the promises that they make, because I've asked them multiple times over emails, let's just stick to the original agreement. Let's stick to the original agreement. I've said it so many times and they weren't willing to stick to the original agreement. So that's them not keeping their promises. Do not be that guy, please. There are too many people like that just make promises uselessly and then they don't keep them. So keep your promises. And as long as you keep your promises to yourself and to others, you will find that your level of happiness and joy of life typically will be in a very good place, and then everyone else will just enjoy being in your company and working with you because they know once you said you're going to do something, you will do it, right? After that, the second thing you can do is always ask for feedback. So if I'm in a relationship with my spouse or with, an employee or with a client, again, this works in every part of your life. That's why this book is so universal, because it teaches you the principles of how to live, of how to build an amazing career. Whether you're an engineer, a manager, director, a CEO, this is built with ownership in mind. Ownership of yourself first, your team second if you have a team, your company third if you have a company, your entire life and the impact you leave on society fourth, and so on and so forth. So basically it's complete ownership of everything you need to do in life. So if I'm in these relationships, three I mentioned earlier, what I should be doing on a very regular basis is asking for feedback. So that's just like we would ask for feedback in terms of products, we would also ask for feedback in terms of our relationship with others. So I can ask my spouse, for example, is there one moment last week when you felt you needed me, but I wasn't there for you, right? Like you really felt you would have needed me, but I didn't show up, whether I wasn't paying attention or whether I just simply wasn't there. And then they can say, you know what, last Thursday, I really needed your support, just to be there, just to listen. And I felt you're distracted. I felt, I couldn't speak with you and I missed you during that day. And they say, oh, okay, so let me not do that again, right? So this is legitimate things that you could do. And by the way, my wife and I invented a game called Better Topics. It's one of our businesses that helps couples talk to one another. And it's so amazing, the feedback. We've gotten feedback from 160 countries. Imagine, it's so good. And this is, if we go back to creating value, we didn't start that company because we wanted to, make tens of millions of dollars like Monopoly. We don't mind making tens of millions of dollars, but the number one thing we care about is how do we add value to someone else. And whether you make a game to have people experience more joy and connection in their relationship, or whether you sell a service, you always focus on the value you bring to others. Okay? So this feedback that you keep getting from people, all of these individuals, all of this is very valuable if you ask for it. Because you will find that in most cases, if you don't ask for feedback, people will just say, oh, okay, well, fine. And they'll just interact less with you. This is how relationships go stale, whether professional relationships in a business or with a client or with your spouse. This is how they go stale. You don't ask for feedback and you don't keep improving, right? Remember, never-ending innovation. This is also included there. And then finally, something you can do when it comes to business in general, whether that's from your team or that's from clients, is to always ask for reviews and testimonials. Always. Because these will be worth their weight in gold in the future. So as you grow your business, imagine you're 2 years into your business and you have 0 reviews or testimonials, compared to your 2 years in business and you have 50 amazing reviews and testimonials. It'll be infinitely easier for you to keep selling whatever it is you're selling, or if you have testimonials from colleagues you're working with to get a job, right? Or to get promoted, because whenever you ask for a promotion, you say, hey, this is the extra responsibility I can take. This is how much I can be compensated for this. And these are all of the 20 reasons why you should give me this promotion, right? And that can include reviews and testimonials from your team, from your clients, from wherever, where you prove that this is the value I'm bringing to this organization. So this basically helps you in life in every way, okay?